So the Indiana Fever are America's team. We already knew that. You already knew that. Whether you're watching and don't like that, you have to admit to yourself that that's true. Now there is I don't know if it's necessarily a report per se, I guess a report that backs up that the WNBA realizes that as well. Because, for all the talk about Clark and the explosion of the Indiana Fever, one of the things that people have lamented is that maybe the WNBA didn't realize it had this golden goose and everything like that. But there's a new piece from Tom Friend of Sports Business Journal, and here's a section of it that indicates that the WNBA does indeed realize that. Talking about, the Annika Sorenstam thing, she attracted Arnold Palmer type galleries and signed autographs on hats, t-shirts, and bearskin. That, of course, Clark at the golf outing. The WNBA is not oblivious, and according to sources, eventually will schedule a Fever game overseas to capitalize on her Q rating. They just announced an overseas game, but it didn't have the blockbuster stars, but that makes sense. International Clark. Privately, the plan is to market the Fever like they are America's team, which they already are. And look, this already did happen in a sense, other than this thing about the fans. That was the pushback. Fever fans were terrible, right? Which was just a stupid thing to do when you consider how many new fans came in and how much that helped the growth of the entire NBA. To label a fan base like that was foolish. And everybody involved in that, players, media, whoever it is, needs to rethink that and not do it again. You can have your thoughts and call out specific things, but to broad brushstroke an entire fan base that has grown the entire league is cutting off your nose to spite your face. But we saw how many Fever games were televised just this past year. So it's not as if that is a novel idea that the WNBA is marketing them as America's team. We've seen the Fever attendance. We've seen the Fever ratings. We've seen the Fever games on NBA TV relative to the NBA games on NBA TV. But, there just seemed to be this innate pushback, subconscious or conscious or both, that, the Fever they're too prevalent. Clark is too prevalent. Nobody else is getting the coverage. But this is what happens in sports. The Lakers get more coverage than anybody else. The Cowboys get more coverage than anybody else. This is not a new thing. Yeah, the coverage the WNBA has received is a new thing, but one team, one player being the focal point or getting an outsized portion of the coverage is not a new thing. That's American sports or America's team.